the Planning and Policy Division of Suruhanjaya Perkhidmatan Awam, and she's today here in the studios. Dr. Mazny, good morning and welcome to TRAXX.
Good morning, Anil, and good morning for those listening in.
Of course.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. The pleasure's ours. So without wasting any time, let's dive straight into our conversation today, Doctor. We've been introduced to this term right now. Maybe people who are in the public service might know it well, but the public may not know it. SSPA, tell us more about that.
SSPA is the acronym for Sistem Saraan Perkhidmatan Awam, or the Public Service Remuneration System, which has been announced by the Honourable Prime Minister recently on the 16th of August. And this new remuneration system is to replace the SSM, or Sistem Saraan Malaysia, effective on the 1st of December 2024.
Right. And what are the objectives of the SSPA?
Objectives of the SSPA, I might say that there's two objectives. One is to prioritize the welfare of the public servants, and secondly, to improve public service performance or delivery.
Right.
Yep.
So you mentioned that this is very much different from the previous sort of system, which is SSM. And now
yes.
it's SSPA. So what are sort of some of the maybe enhancements or the advantages that you would like to highlight?
Maybe as a background, I can tell you that decisions to implement the SSPA is based on a study conducted by the Public Service Department. It took place about around this time last year in 2023, and the aims of this the research actually is to look into two things. First is the remuneration part, but almost equally important actually is also on talent management, and also to see into the structure of the public service.
Okay. And what have been the main results that have been obtained through the SSPA?
Okay. I suppose the highlights, what have been highlighted this past few days is on the remuneration. And this is a very important part of SSPA. Nonetheless, the other two as equally important. But we're looking into remuneration basically because the civil service salary has not been looked into for the past 12 years. And looking at the hike in prices of food items, and also generally in terms of the cost of living, where the consumer price index has gone up for the past 10 years to about 21%, or in terms of food items about 24%. And at the same time, salary increase for public servants for the past 10 years has been at the average of 5.8%, which is really below the 21 and 24%. And for the lower grades in the public service, and this is affecting them in terms of providing basic necessities for their families in terms of food and also schooling of kids.
Yeah. Right. Okay. I think this is a much awaited change for many of the public service servants that you mentioned earlier. Now, let's jump in for a quick break. But when we come back, for all of our listeners listening in, we're going to do a little bit of mathematics, because Dr. Mazny is going to teach us on how we can calculate the salary increase, and maybe even direct us to a link that's available. Don't go anywhere. Our special interview right here in TRAXX Momentum. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Tracks Momentum. We're kicking things off in our first hour of the show with a special interview. With us in the studios, Dr. Mazny binti Abdul Majid. She's the Director, Research, Planning and Policy Division of the Public Service Department, and she's talking to us about the SSPA. Dr. Mazny, welcome back to our special interview. Perhaps you can now start off by explaining to us how to calculate the salary increase, and is there any specific link for a civil servant to calculate it?
Okay, I'll go directly into the calculation. And as announced by the Prime Minister last week, there's a 15% salary adjustment that will be given to officers in the implementing and the management and professional group, and a 7% salary adjustment to officers in the top management group. And the implementation of these salary adjustments will be carried out in phases. Phase 1 will be starting on December 1st, 2024, and Phase 2 on January 1st, 2026. And for the implementing and management and professional group, I mentioned 15%, whereby salary adjustment of 8% is in Phase 1 and 7% is in Phase 2. For top management, salary adjustment is at 4% in Phase 1 and 3% in Phase 2. And some basis for these adjustments. Phase 1 adjustments will be based on the basic salary received by a public servant in November 2024. And Phase 2 adjustments will be based on the basic salary received in December 2025, which would include the 2025 annual salary increment. And thus, the range of income increase for civil servants will be between 16.8% and 42.7%, considering, firstly, minimum pay, the compounding effect of Phase 1 and Phase 2, and also taking into consideration the lowest entry requirement into the public service, which is raised from SRP or PMR to SPM, thus doing away with the lower grades. Now the grades are at 11 to 18 and will be adjusted to 19 accordingly for those currently in the service.
And who does the SSPA apply to?
SSPA would apply to everyone in the federal service, as well as the state civil service. And it can also be applied to the authorities in the states, and also in terms of authorities like the local authorities, and also the companies which are by legislations.
Right, okay. Thank you for giving us that information, Dr. Mazny. We're going to go in for a quick break today on our special interview. We're speaking to the Director, Research and Planning Policy Division of the Public Service Department, Dr. Mazny binti Abdul Majid, and she's today speaking to us about the SSPA. Don't go anywhere. Our special interview will be right back. Good morning and welcome back to our special interview right here on Trax Momentum, TRAXXfm. Talk to me nice Thursdays, August the 22nd, 2024. If it's your birthday today, happy birthday to you. With us in the studio is Dr. Mazny binti Abdul Majid, the Director, Research, Planning and Policy Division of the Public Service Department, and she's today talking to us about the SSPA. Dr. Mazny, welcome back to our special interview. Now, we would like to know if any outstanding public servant will be rewarded for their remarkable service.
Okay, as I mentioned earlier, SSPA is not just about remuneration. There's two more parts to it that are equally important, which is the revise of the structure and also a revise of the in terms of talent management. And the spirit behind SSPA is actually public service reform, whereby in terms of the talent management, we also look into elements such as career advancement opportunities, where there is one-off promotions for officers in certain schemes who have been at a certain grade for a long period of time. Of course, with a specified period and criteria applies. And also, there's a recognition of expertise in terms of subject matter experts, especially pertaining to retaining talent in places where they are most needed. And we have identified the areas of priority, among others, in terms of cybersecurity, digital transformation, food technology, and also disaster management, among others. And in terms of, as an overall talent management basis, SSPA gives focus on performance-based incentives, whereby the annual performance evaluation score, for example, will be considered for promotion and career advancements, and only officers who achieve the satisfactory performance levels and pass the disciplinary screening will be eligible for the annual salary increment. And there is also the element whereby we look into scores from maybe like, if before it was like 60%, now it's 75%. So there's an increase in the level or the standard which has to be achieved. And this score will also be used to identify low performing officers, and this relates back to your question just now on how do we tackle low performing or people are not who are not performing on their work.
And how can this incentive or salary increment help improve the performance of public services?
Salary increase generally is taking care of the welfare of public servants, and the two other parts will promote the agencies and the ministries to look further into improving their the service that they are providing to the public. And we hope that this is a push factor. And as I said, the spirit of SSPA is the public service reform. So it's not just about the remuneration, it's about thinking about the time for the public service to change for the better. And this is the work of everyone in the whole service, actually. And of course, the most important characters are the public servants.
Right. Dr. Mazny binti Abdul Majid, thank you very much for setting aside your time and coming over here in Trax to explain about this SSPA to us. You have a lovely day ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, that was Dr. Mazny binti Abdul Majid, the Director, Research, Planning and Policy Division at the Public Service Department, and today she spoke to us in detail about the SSPA and what the government's focus is on. If you missed out on this interview, worry not, you can always catch the replay by visiting TRAXXfm official's Facebook page or our official YouTube channel. We're less than 10 minutes away from the 11 a.m. World News, and I'm sure Peter the Rock Carlos, our newsreader, is ready with all the updates to fill us in on what's happening around the world. And then after that, I'll be back with you for the second hour of Tracks Momentum with Face to Face Activate. And I'll be joined by DJ Natia from Langkawi FM. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned.